An Atlanta-based organization helps uplift LGBTQ plus youth.
And find out which one of sports' biggest influencers visited Georgia State this week. All that and more on Panther Report News.
Hello, and welcome to Panther Report News. I'm Kevin Sanchez.
And I'm Kara Nelson. Universities in Georgia are leading the charge in transitioning to a 100% clean energy future. A new report from Environment Georgia highlights the strides universities like Georgia State are making to inspire others with their own objectives. The report recognizes Georgia State for being one of 3 universities in the country to use a polystyrene densifier that reduces the size of industrial-grade materials. The university was also noticed for using a solar thermal system to heat water at the Atlanta campus library.
There's an estimated 3,372 homeless and runaway youth ages 14 to 25 in Metro Atlanta, and one Atlanta-based organization is helping uplift the state's LGBTQ plus youth from these conditions. PRN got an inside look at Lost and Found and how they're taking the charge against homelessness. Suitcases crowd the corner of a room cluttered with symbols of love, affirmation, and hope. They belong to homeless youth at the Lost and Found Youth Center in Atlanta, an organization that works to end LGBTQ plus homelessness. And several months ago, 21-year-old Ian Woodard slept in the facility.
You feel isolated, you feel judged, critiqued, and more than anything, you don't want to be the subject of conversation and the talk of the town, talk of the school, whatever the case may be.
For 6 months, Woodard slept at either the homes of friends or at places across Atlanta.
So it was a lot of traveling, a lot of discomfort and unawareness in regards to where I was going to lay my head or where the next meal was going to come from.
But through Lost and Found, Woodard is now enrolled in their housing program with a stable job.
I had assistance with a friend who was helping me at the time, and they took it upon themselves to look up nonprofit organizations and just overall support systems that were, capable of providing necessities that I needed at the time.
Woodard grew up in Kennesaw, Georgia with a religious family. Woodard's parents wanted a future that he didn't. This led him to leave.
There were rules and regulations within the household that I was in, like 7-Day Adventists, not being able to go anywhere from sunset Friday to sunset Saturday. That was a major rule that I, at some point, decided that I couldn't abide by.
Nashida Muhammad, the director of operations, says they serve youth who wouldn't receive similar services elsewhere.
Often it's difficult for our young people to seek help from organizations that don't have experience working with LGBT youth, either because they just haven't had the opportunity or because they've chosen not to.
As 18 community-based flags hang down the building walls, Woodard shares a moment with those who supported him. He lives life with the community behind his back and what he calls an ambitious future ahead. Kevin Sanchez, PRN.
This Thursday, the Student Government Association held a university-wide Senate meeting, and senators passed a policy resolution to cancel classes on federal election day. The resolution, introduced by Senator Spencer DeHart, would suspend classes and make it up on the final week of class. The Board of Regents currently has a policy allowing students to miss class if it allows them to vote.
It is central to every college in Georgia, every person in Georgia, every person in the entire country. So we have a lot of work to do, but at some point we do hope to make sure that everyone has the chance to vote in our state, in our college, and in our country.
But the meeting also had its setbacks. Scheduled for 7:15 p.m., the meeting didn't officially begin until 30 minutes later, and by 10:50 p.m., nearly 10 minutes before the Urban Life building closed, Senator Nigel Walton moved to adjourn the meeting early. President Jasmine Mejia chimed in.
You don't think I'm aware of that? I know it's late. Like I said, if we all just read and did our homework before we came, our SJ Center, we wouldn't be here until 11 p.m. Trust me.
It was a big week for sports here at Georgia State. Let's turn to Anthony Patterson for the latest updates on Georgia State sports.
Thanks, Kevin. Hello, everyone. My name is Anthony Patterson, and welcome to PRN Sports. Today, we will cover both the men's and women's basketball teams, the start of Georgia State's spring sports, and a preview of the NFL Pro Bowl. But first, PRN sat down with one of sports' most influential arbiters in Jemele Hill. Kristen Crittenden has more.
I was the only Black female sports columnist at a major daily newspaper, in North America. So not just this country, apparently all of North America, which was crazy to contemplate. It was, I think people assume, they hear that stat and they assume it's something you should feel good about. I was actually quite ashamed and embarrassed by it. Embarrassed for the industry, really.
Jemele Hill has been a professional sports journalist for over 20 years, with 12 of those being spent working at ESPN. After some controversy arose last year, she decided to leave and pursue other opportunities beyond just sports. Since you left ESPN, you've done your own thing. You started a podcast, you write with The Atlantic, still write with them. Mm-hmm. So when you left ESPN, what was it about, what made you kind of want to do your own thing instead of maybe trying to go back into sports? You do more than just sports now with the podcast. What was it about that?
I wound up at The Atlantic, a publication I've always respected. And I love doing podcasting, and because I love just the intimacy that podcasting gives you. So those were two kind of built-in options for me when I left.
Being an African-American female journalist, Hill has dealt with scrutiny her entire career. So when people began to attack her for comments she makes towards President Trump, she was able to shake them off. All right, when it came to all the hate mail and bad comments you got, did that have a real impact on your mental health at that time?
No, not really. And I think of course there's a level of anger that comes with it because you feel like you don't even have to or should have to be exposed to it or deal with it. And there's a part of it because I consider some of the hate mail that I receive, particularly those that threaten me or call me names or that kind of thing. I mean, if people just disagree with my opinion, I don't consider that hate mail. They just disagree. But as soon as, they start threatening my personhood, calling me racial slurs, all that kind of stuff, then we have a problem. And I think it's more frustrating than anything because the people that send you tweets or Facebook messages, snail mail, because I got a lot of that, they would never say that to you to your face.
Christian Crittenden, PRN.
Last weekend, the women's tennis team picked up their first win of the season with a 6-1 victory over McNeese State. This win puts the team at 1-1 record to start the season after a 0-7 loss to Baylor in their season opener. The Panthers will travel to Auburn next week in an attempt to break the 0-6 record against the Tigers. It's a year of fresh faces for the Georgia State baseball team. A majority freshman team, an entirely new coaching staff, and a new head coach, Brad Stumdahl. And if it's up to Coach Stumdahl, Atlanta is going to be the new hub of baseball in the Peach State. I was able to sit down with Coach Stumdahl. Take a look.
Atlanta is a hotbed for baseball in the Southeast and in the country. And so we have every opportunity to be able to put the best team on the field as possible.
That is Panthers' first-year head baseball coach, Brad Stumdahl, on how he plans to make Georgia State a top destination for recruits. After finishing last in the Sun Belt last season, he first wants to change the energy of the team this season.
The reality is that we just need to go out and play. We need to kind of forget about what's happened in the last couple of years, be able to build upon where we've been and what we're doing right now, and so that we can kind of continue to stair step and build upon the foundation of this locker room, this great facility, the energy of Atlanta, the energy of Georgia State University.
The Panthers are picked to finish last this season by the NCAA experts, but Stumdahl is using that as fuel for the team this year.
We're going to try to use that as a little chip and play with a chip on our shoulder and, and just kind of show people, hey, we can win. We can win at the highest level. We're going to win at the highest level. And, don't count wins before you come in here and play the Panthers.
As far as pressure in his first season, Stumdahl is not feeling it.
I don't really feel any pressure, per se, that I would feel any greater than I was at the previous school that I was at. I think that every year brings its new challenges, and I think that this challenge is unbelievably fun for me. I think that we have a really good starting point, and I think that our end point, I think we can get there, which is go to the conference tournament, win the conference tournament. I think we can get there.
Anthony Patterson, PRN. The women's basketball team came close to an upset against first place Troy, but came up short in the end. Reporter Crystal White spoke with head coach Jemele Hill about the loss.
Georgia State's women's basketball team fell to the Troy Trojans this past Saturday. The Trojans are ranked second in the Sun Belt, and the Panthers were able to slow down the Trojans' up-tempo offense. In the fourth quarter, the Panthers were able to cut the Trojan lead to 2. Unfortunately, in the final 90 seconds of the game, the Trojans went on an 8-0 run to win the game.
We knew that one of the keys to winning was keeping them off the boards. But it's a lot easier to say than sometimes to actually do.
I also asked head coach Jemele Hill what did he think of his team's performance against the second place Troy.
Well, that when we execute and when we play as a team, play connected, that we can compete. And so that's the thing that we've been trying to continue to get them to understand and buy in, that it's not about individual performance. It's about playing together and sharing the ball and being connected defensively, communicating and doing all those things.
The Panthers will have to get ready to face rival Georgia Southern on Saturday.
And then I also just kind of reminded the old players and the new kids, kind of told them what next week's game means for us. That's a huge game. The rivalry is always State not Southern for us. And so I told them we need to get ready for that and anticipate that. That's going to be a very exciting game, especially with it being a doubleheader. So I want them to start thinking about it now and getting their juices flowing and getting ready and focus on everything so we can go out and represent Georgia State well.
Crystal White, PRN.
Georgia State's men's basketball team is facing its greatest test yet this weekend as they travel to Statesboro, Georgia to face Georgia Southern University. The Panthers and Eagles are neck and neck heading into the middle part of the season, with both teams sitting at 6-3. Christian Crittenden spoke with members of the men's team to discuss this newest clash of modern-day hate.
One of the players leading the charge for the Panthers this season is redshirt sophomore Justin Roberts, who's averaging 14.7 points per game during Sun Belt Conference play.
Just early on, I just wanted to just stay in my routine. I knew things weren't going to come as easy as usual because I sat out, and so I was just trying to get used to coaching style and just learning, how to pick my spots and just getting more reps up, staying in my routine, and it ended up working out.
The Georgia State men's basketball team is headed to Statesboro to square off against arch rival Georgia Southern. After playing the Eagles 3 times last season, sophomore Nelson Phillips has some advice for first-timers on what to expect.
Expect the crowd. You gotta know how to play without getting distracted. So because the crowd gonna be in there talking, you gotta play without letting people get under your skin. So that's the biggest right there.
Christian Crittenden, PRN.
This week, the Georgia State track and field team competed in both the Gamecock Opener and the Sanford Invite. The event was highlighted with a first-place finish by Jada Austin in the triple jump. Austin said, "Honestly, to get my first collegiate first-place finish in triple jump at Gamecock Opener was a wonderful thing to experience. Yes, I still have things to work on, but it felt great to have that experience." In addition to Austin, runner Lottie Mayberg finished first in both the 3,000 meter and the 5,000 meter. She had this to say about her double victory day.
I was really happy with the performance because I didn't expect the times to be that fast, especially because I was running mostly by myself, so I had to run against me and against the time. But yeah, those times really gave me some input on where I want to work on, and I definitely want to improve those times throughout the season, but I think it's a good start.
This weekend, the NFL's best and brightest will be facing off in the annual Pro Bowl game in Orlando, Florida. This year's festivities, however, are especially important. New Orleans Saints kicker Will Lutz will become the first Georgia State football alumnus to be selected to the event. In a statement to PRN, Will Lutz said about his selection, "It's an honor, and I'd be lying if I said it wasn't one of my goals. I said a few years back. I think it's our job as an early recruiting class to pave the way for the program. And the guys who are in the league now have set an incredible example for all of our future recruits and current team. I have a feeling there will be a few more guys right behind me with this accomplishment. Well, that's all we got for you this week. Be sure to keep an eye out on Instagram and Twitter at GSUPRN for all the latest updates and analysis on Georgia State sports and on-location coverage of the 2020 NFL Pro Bowl. Back to you, Kevin.
Next Thursday, the Student Government Association will hold its first State of the State address at the Georgia State Capitol. SGA President Jemele Hill and other head senators will deliver speeches alongside prominent Georgia elected officials. Stay with PRN for more coverage on the historic event.
Making friends has become a common struggle amongst Georgia State students, but they decided they won't allow this to stop them from bonding with other students. We turn to PRN's Cherie Pruitt for how online forum Reddit is connecting students outside the classroom.
At times, I felt like really isolated at GSU.
But Georgia State junior Santiago Alvarez is not alone. Many students have shared similar sentiments for years now. Junior Yanel Banks decided to make a Reddit post to encourage students to hang out.
It's a commuter school, and people come, they leave. You make a friend, and that's just for the semester. The class is done, I don't need help anymore, you know what I mean?
Being the first meetup, students played cards or had general conversations with one another.
We just made a group chat actually for all the people that showed up here, just because we showed enough volunteer to be here actively. So we didn't add everybody who had responded to the chat because a lot of people upvoted it. It got 138 upvotes last time I checked, which is a lot. That's a lot of people.
They plan to hold another meeting this Thursday from 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. at the Hub at Peachtree Center.
And I was like, oh my God, I wish this had been around since freshman year, that type of thing, that type of meetup thing.
Cherie Pruitt, PRN.
Georgia State's Perimeter campus ranks 20th in the nation for student success. A report from the Chronicle of Higher Education says that students transfer to four-year degree programs at higher rates when it comes to other two-year colleges. 83% of students enrolled completed their program and went on to others by 2018.
That is amazing. Go Georgia State. So preparations are now underway for the Chinese New Year. It's New Year's Eve, and the year is the Year of the Rat.
And it starts tomorrow. So what is the Year of the Rat expected to bring?
So in Chinese culture, rats are signs of wealth and surplus. So this new year is all about the gains. It's also about great fertility. Did you know in ancient Chinese culture, married couples would pray to rats for children because of their fast reproduction rates?
You know, I didn't know that, Kara. But what I do know is that my zodiac is a rabbit.
Mine is an ox. Oh, and also, if you're looking to celebrate this new year, the Atlanta Chinese Scholar and Student Association is hosting the Chinese Spring Festival Gala. It'll be held on Sunday, February 2nd in the Student Center East Ballroom.
Nice. Well, that's our show.
Make sure you stay connected to Panther Report News throughout the week. And be sure to follow us on all social media platforms at GSU PRN.
Also, subscribe down below and let us know what your Chinese zodiac is.
I'm Kara Nelson.
And I'm Kevin Sanchez, and we'll see you next week.